This video and hundreds more like it available on freephotoshopvideotutorials.com. In this video we're going to learn how to spice up a photo by placing it or making it seem like it's actually a photo on top of a photo, but you're actually using just one photo. You're not using two, you're just using one. It's kind of a cool thing to do. It's kind of weird to actually write it down. I wasn't quite sure how to describe this. It doesn't sound actually very exciting how to place it on itself, but let me just show you how this works. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make it seem like there's this photo here, sort of like a Polaroid. You can see like a white frame around the photo. And then there's the rest of the photo, but in effect, this photo here that we're going to be doing around here is just the very same photo as, the one that you're seeing right now. So we're using one photo to create this composite. So let me just show you how this works. We're going to duplicate our image, so we're going to do a Control and J to duplicate that. And now we're going to select the part of the photo that we want. That's the part that's the main focus, right? So we want to do something, for example, like here, and place it like so. So this is kind of like our main focus here of this image. So that's going to be our sort of like, we're going to make it seem like there's a smaller photo that is this part here. So now we're going to add a layer mask to this. And with this layer mask, now that we have this layer mask, we can go ahead and add some effects here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a stroke. And automatically you can see that with the stroke here, we're starting to, because it's masking out the rest, the stroke is only going to the edges of our layer mask here. So what we can do now is just set the color to white, set the position to inside, and the size to something like 10 pixels. And you can see that now we're sort of like getting a frame inside of this. So I hope you can start to see how this kind of makes sense. So now we're going to add some drop shadow. And with this drop shadow, I'm just going to change the angle here to 125 just to come out from that angle like that. And now you can start to see that it seems like, okay, there is a photo on top of another photo, but in effect it's just one photo. Okay, now what we want to do, with the layer mask selected, we're going to unlock the layers first, the link between the two layers. We're going to unlock that. And we're going to do that because now we're going to do a Control and T and rotate our layer mask. So essentially we're just rotating the effect, as it were, the drop shadow and the stroke. I'm going to rotate it slightly, like 5% or thereabouts, and press OK. So it seems like the photo is a little bit on its edge there. Okay, and the other part now that we're going to do to actually make it a little bit more interesting, add some excitement to this photo, is actually modify a bit of the background here. So now what we want to do is we're going to go in and do a hue and saturation, layer mask, and we're going to click on colorize, and now you can play around with the saturation and the hues and get something that complements this photo. So you probably want to look for something that is part of this photo already. So for example, you can get part of her gear here that looks to be red, so maybe you can focus on the image being red, like so it's complementing. Or maybe you want to get something that is, slightly yellow or greenish perhaps. Maybe some blue here because we have some light blue, like so, or something complementing the image. So what I'm going to do is actually pick something on the red. So I'm going to go with red here and go like something like that. That's looking quite good right there. I'm going to click OK. And for our last step, and if you want to make sure that you're not actually modifying this part of the image itself, what you can do is just duplicate the image. So we're going to do Control and J. In case what we apply, and maybe later on down the line, regret doing, what we can do is just unview this layer. We still have our original untouched layer here. Because what we want to do is go to Filter, Blur, and Radio Blur. And now with Radio Blur, what we can do, and it's a pity that Radio Blur doesn't actually show us a preview of what we're doing, but what we want to do is the blur method to have a zoom, so it seems like this part of the image is coming out at us. An amount, it will sort of depend on what image you're using. I'm going to go with 50 right now. Change the quality to best and click OK. That is, actually this is a bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this and go into Filter and Blur and Radio Blur again. And I'm just going to take this down. Actually, I'm going to go for 30 this time. It's quite a small image, so we'll have to adjust for a lesser amount. Okay, that's pretty good. So now you can see that we've added a lot more of emotion. It seems like there's a photo on top of all this commotion here. But, it's the same photo, in effect. And what you can do, actually, if you want to blend in a little bit of this, what you can do is you can take this step a little bit back here. Because we created our duplicate here of a background, what we can do is change the opacity so that some of the original parts of the image starts coming through, so you don't have all of it just being in motion. You start to see a little bit less of it blending in with the other parts that are not in motion, which is actually quite interesting. But in effect, you actually create this very interesting, exciting part of the photo, drawing the attention of the viewer to that specific part of the photo that actually makes it interesting, but in effect, just using one photo. So that's kind of a cool effect there for you to have a play around with. If you enjoyed this video, show your support by subscribing, rating, and adding it to favorites. Leave comments on our website and we'll create even more videos that interest you.